Okay, it's been 22 hours since we shaped our dough into our bannetons. They've been cold proofing the fridge all this time. It's time to score them and bake them, but there's a couple things that we need to do first. All right, so first thing, we gotta preheat our oven. We're gonna go 450 and we're gonna put our cast iron Dutch oven pot in there to preheat. I like this one. I'll put a link in the description. It's the Lodge, I think they call it a combo cooker. And it's, I believe, 5 quarts. And I like to use it because of the lid. It can also be a skillet. So it's way easier to load a batch of dough into here versus trying to load it into, you know, the deep part and it's scored and, you know, you have your bread on your parchment paper and you're trying to get it in there. So I recommend this one. It's super easy to load. Yeah, it's a little bit more difficult to get the lid on top, which is the bottom. Turn the bottom into the lid, but totally doable, not a big deal. Parchment paper. We need parchment paper to line our pot so our dough doesn't stick to it. So it's gonna come in out of the fridge, banneton. We're gonna flip it over onto the paper. So we need a disc of paper. I really like this brand. I think it's Paper Chef, yes. Costco sells them in a 2-pack, which makes them more affordable than buying them on Amazon. I'll put a link to the Costco ones. You can get it on Amazon, but it's way more expensive. So we need to make a circle out of a square or rectangle shape. And a couple more thoughts on parchment paper. The Reynolds one that has like the white cross hatches on it, I feel like it makes my bread taste funny and it smells funny when it's cooking. Now the unbleached natural brown colored one that you might find at like a Whole Foods, it's unreliable. Sometimes it sticks to the dough and it's not supposed to. So I like this brand. It reminds me of, you know, the stuff that we used to use in the restaurant. Anyway, what I just made a triangle. So here's my folded side of a triangle. I've made essentially an isosceles-ish kind of triangle. So I have triangle. Here's my folded side. Now I'm gonna make the folded side the center. And then I'm gonna keep this center the center. I'm gonna fold it again. Smaller triangle, and an even smaller triangle. And it doesn't have to be perfect because, you know, we're gonna cut it. We're really just doing this. And you can take a measurement off your pot just to kind of get an idea of how big of a circle to make. And there we go. We've got a liner and we've got just enough kind of surface to go up the sides a little bit. Okay, so oven, 450. Pot and lid are going in the oven, and my oven takes kind of a while to heat up, so it might take like 10 minutes to get to 450, and then I might give it like another 5 minutes in there. We want this ripping hot. Cooking in the cast iron is going to trap steam, which is going to improve like the quality of the crust. It's going to make it cracklier, crispier, a little shinier. The extra heat that we're going to get off of the cast iron onto the dough is going to help the dough to really spring and expand, and it will protect it also from, you know, getting too dark, being in the pot. So we're going to cook it in this cast iron pot for 45 minutes the whole way, and then we'll pop it out, and then we can kind of finish up getting any, you know, final coloring on it. I know it's common for people to bake for maybe 25 minutes and then go the rest of the way uncolored, but then it's more of like you're really trying to manage like how dark it gets. And when you are baking like a loaf of bread that's about this size, it's going to be done with its expansion phase after about the first 18 to 23 minutes, something in that neighborhood. So it's not going to get any bigger. We're not going to take a temperature. I know some bakers will take an internal temperature, trying to hit like 205 to 210-ish to make sure that it's like cooked all the way through. I don't think that's a necessary step. If we're going in cast iron for 45 minutes, it's going to be cooked through. So I'm all for eliminating or, you know, minimizing the steps and the tools that are required to make excellent sourdough bread. All right, so this is going in the oven. When it's hot, we'll catch up and we'll score one of those batches, one of those ovals. Okay, so we need just a couple more things. A little pastry brush just to brush off some of the rice flour that we put on the dough, and a razor blade. I shave with these double-edge safety razor blades, so I always have them. You can get them on Amazon, link in the description. You usually end up buying like 500 of them for like $5. They're super cheap. But razor blade to score, if you want to do something fancy and get like a full-on handle and some different attachments for scoring, go for it. But you know, to start, you just need a razor blade, not a box cutter razor blade. One of these. There's really no substitution for this. The parchment paper circle, I know I cut a freshie, but this one is still good. I've used it twice, and I'm going to use it again because I can. So let's score, and then we'll get loaded up in the oven. My oven's hot. The cast iron's hot. It's been in there for like 15 minutes. And let's go. Oh, that's right. We did two. So we did one with no liner, and we did one with a liner. So let's do this one first. Here we are. Here's our dough, and it's expanded just a little bit, you know, as I would expect. I wouldn't expect it to get like huge unless the dough had been really warm. That's something that might happen in the summertime. No goofing around here. We're just gonna kind of get to work as soon as this is out of the basket, kind of like in the pot and in the oven. So this will be a quick process. Circle, we're gonna get it centered right on top of the basket, and then we're just gonna tip it out. And I usually give it like a tap on this 12 o'clock side, and it comes right out. So a little bit of chunk of, a little bit of rice flour right there. I'm just gonna brush that off. I'm just gonna kind of clean up any excess that's on the sides. And it might squat down a little bit, but I'm not expecting it to like really sit down like a higher hydration dough. It should maintain its shape here because it is cold. And for the score mark, I'm gonna keep it simple. There's a lot of ways to score an oval. I like from 12 to 6, kind of on a bit of a curve. And we're gonna take the blade and we're gonna put it on a bit of an angle because we wanna make an offset cut so we can get an ear to stand up. And every ear that you try and make is gonna be a little bit different. And I had just a big hole here, a big air pocket, so it kind of collapsed on me. So that might kind of affect how the ear stands up. I'll spin it around so you can see. So there's my flat spot. There is just a giant hole right there, and this might not stand up just because of how much air was in there. So this is why we make two. You get more practice. And yeah, that's kind of the magic of making sourdough bread. There's a lot of variation, which makes it kind of fun, because no matter how good you get at this, there will be some nuance and some subtleties to every single batch of bread that you make. And I think that's cool. So here it is, it's in the pot. And then we'll take the bottom and make it a lid. All right, timer, 45 minutes. And that's it, we're hanging out for 45 minutes. We're not gonna check it, we're not gonna turn it, we're not gonna uncover it until my timer goes off. And then we'll bake the other one. I mean, you could wait. You have the freedom here to wait. So I'm at like 22 hours. We could go 48. You could save the next one for tomorrow. But I'm gonna do it because we did it different. It's got the liner, so I might as well just do them back to back so you can see them instead of like making this a multi-day project. The rice flour that is crusted in your basket. You need one of these. It's not a toilet bowl brush, it's a bottle brush. It's got kind of, I would say, medium soft bristles. And I'm gonna take this outside and just brush it out. Just clean out all the rice flour that's stuck in here, and then let it, you know, dry out, and I'll put it back in the cabinet. Okay, we're back. It's been 45 minutes. Let's see what we've got. And this is always kind of the fun part. It's like, well, what did we produce? How did that score mark work out? Looks like it worked out pretty good to me. Okay, so this is nice color, but I wouldn't say this is finished yet. I'll give you a little peek at the bottom. Not too bad, not dark. You know, really pretty little loaf of bread. It's pretty symmetrical. It's got a nice centered ear. Not super tall, but like still, I would give it like a, you know, A, B plus A kind of mohawk there. So this is going back in the oven. And I'm just gonna put it off to the side. Just get a little bit darker. Just have a little bit richer, toastier, caramelized kind of flavor to it. And our pot is hot, it's ready to go. So let's do the other loaf of bread, the other batch of dough. Shake out some of this rice flour. Okay. Number 2, the one that we lined with the handkerchief. And let's see. This one's standing a little taller than the other one. And you know, I would guess that some of that has to do with like the handkerchief kind of insulating a little bit more and making the cold take longer to penetrate. So again, we're gonna get our paper centered, kind of tap that 12 o'clock side, get rid of the basket. We don't need to brush this one out. This one's, you know, clean. And there it is. So already, I mean, from my view, I don't know if you can tell with on the camera, but the lines, the imprintations from the basket are not as obvious. And I was also able to use a little bit less rice flour. It feels, you know, equally as dry as the other one did. But I think, you know, it's gonna have a different look to it. And maybe a different kind of shine to the crust. Okay, so here we go. No dilly-dallying. We just want to get this scored and get in the oven. And so we're going from 12 to 6. And I'm not going vertical with the blade, because if we go vertical, it's going to open symmetrically. So having this angle here in the blade is what's going to make it so that ear pops up. So we did a pretty good job on the first one. Let's see if we can make this one as good or better. I'm gonna, you know, and we're really just using the corner of the blade. We're not using like the whole flat edge. We're just really sticking a corner in and trying to get like underneath and create a lip. And if you don't get like a perfect cut, like you kind of skipped right here, I always feel like I get hung up when I like start my cut. You can go back under it, do it again, give it just a little bit more space to expand. And you know, it's opening up as I go, but I'm not trying to make like a super deep cut. You know, maybe 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch deep cut. All right, so we got our bottom. And you can really see it expanding right now. And our top. Okay, so this guy's going in the oven. 45 minutes, just like the first one. Here is the first one. I'm gonna leave them in a little longer. I just rotated them 180 degrees. And timer. Okay, so how long is that gonna stay in there? Until it's like the color that I want. The color that I want is gonna be like kind of a really pretty golden brown, like darkish brown, dark golden brown. It's gonna be a pretty color, a color that I think is pretty at least. This is a subjective thing. So you are in charge of coloring it up however much you want to. Now I know that one of these loaves of bread is gonna end up on the dinner table tonight. And to get there, it's gonna also get toasted, so it will get darker. So you can consider that when you're doing, you know, this coloring phase right now. How dark do you want it now? Anticipating like what you might do with it later. I mean, if you're just gonna make sandwiches with it, you know, maybe, you know, go lighter, knowing that it'll make the crust a little bit less thick, so it'll be easier to eat a sandwich with it, or go heavier, knowing that, you know, it's up to you, super subjective. So you're in charge of how much color you put on it, but keep an eye on it, don't burn it now. That would be sad. And if you think about how your oven is constructed, mine has the heating element in the back. So I never have to worry about burning the bottom of my bread. If your heating element is in the bottom of your oven, first of all, you know, when you put your cast iron pot in there, make sure that it's not too low, because you will burn the bottom of your bread if your pot is too low in your oven. And then if you go to put this back in the oven and the rack is too low, you risk burning the bottom of your bread there also. I've seen it happen. It's really sad. Don't do it. Don't fall for that trap. Be aware of how your oven works and where the heating element is. So I think this is a nice color. We've got, like, you can see some of that cool striping from the basket. This is the guy that was in direct contact. The bottom, nice color on the bottom. Really pretty little loaf of bread. So we'll cook that one, we'll bring it out, and we'll compare, and I think we'll cut into them too, and, like, you know, take a look at the crumb also. Yeah, and I keep forgetting, like, this is a brand new starter. It's this guy. Here he is. I don't need to feed him again. I haven't decided if I want to put him into cold storage or keep working him, but I think I'm going to feed him again today. But the thing I've got to remember is that this is a loaf of bread that was made from a brand new starter that's got zero experience. It's its first day. So this is a pretty awesome result. I'm really happy with this.